Welcome to the Catholic Table Talk podcast. This is where everything Catholic is on the table. New episodes Thursdays at 9 a.m. Eastern on most podcast platforms. Here's your host, William Sauber.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. But before we jump into today's episode, I want to give the intro to the author today and the book, since it kind of saves time that way when we actually do the interview. Today we have author Samuel Mclheran. He's the author of the Matins Lectionary, the complete readings from the traditional Roman breviary. And what he did was, basically it's like the divine office is all Latin. He composed it and he went in it to English. It took him 2 years to do it, as you will soon find out. And it's great. I mean, it's only for $40. You can put it in your pocket. You get this book, and you don't have to get another divine liturgy of the office books, and you can save a lot of money that way. So I really highly recommend that you do that. Again, just a little bit about the book. For centuries, the divine office formed the heart of the church's daily prayer, among which ours was Matins, which is the early morning offering of psalms, sacred scripture, the lives of the saints, and the numerous wisdom of the church fathers, also known as the office of readings. The Matins Lectionary restores the spiritual treasure in full, presenting the complete cycle of the readings from the traditional Roman breviary as they existed before the 1960 reform of Pope John the 23rd, which nearly 60% of the patristic and hagiographical readings were removed. In his multiple promulgating the simplified breviary, Pope John the 23rd urged clerics to secure the writings of the fathers, which Samuel mentions in this episode, so rich in wisdom and piety, and to read and meditate upon them constantly. This volume answers that call, placing back into your hands the very readings that nourishes monks, priests, and lay faithful for generations. Drawing from the Dewey Williams Bible and newly revised translations of hagiographical and patristic texts, this single volume offers a full year of daily spiritual reading, aligned with the traditional liturgical calendar. While not containing the entirety of sacred scripture, it draws from every book of the Bible, guiding you through its high points as the church herself intended, season by season, feast by feast. Scripture saints the fathers every day, now in English, letting the wisdom shaping your prayer. The rich octaves of the traditional calendar. You are invited to linger for days with St. Joseph the Sacred Heart or the liturgical doctor. So again, he talks about some of that. He talks a little bit more about it, and it's a great conversation with Samuel and I. I mean, I think we were both a little maybe shy getting to know each other, but I tell you what, it was really good once we got going. And it was someone like myself who only been doing the divine office readings for a short time. This is something that, yes, you should definitely look at into for sure doing the divine office readings. If not, I mean, just getting this book and adding that to the daily prayer life. And what does that look like? He'll answer for that. He'll answer that for us in this episode. So without further ado, let's get back to the episode with Samuel Mclheran, the author of the Matins Lectionary. All right, welcome back, everyone. We got another great guest and a great author on the show today, making his Catholic Table Talk debut. So please make sure you like this video, comment, subscribe, and check out his book at the links down in the description box below to support him and his work, and to, read it for yourself, give away to family, whatever the case might be. We have author Samuel Mclheran on today. He's the author of the Matins Lectionary, the complete readings from the traditional Roman breviary, And so, without further ado, Samuel, again, thank you for saying yes for coming on the show and just for your ministry.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I always, again, when I started the show, Samuel, I think I would have thought how many books and how many authors we've been having on talking about, but everyone is kind of different and unique, and it's really cool how how God works through the author and through the book to bring about his kingdom and all that stuff. So, and what I thought when Kristen set the picture over to me, like she usually does, is always like this one. It definitely was like, wow, this one really hits, at least to me, about the story behind it, what you accomplished and all that. So I really, me personally, I hopefully a lot of people out there too, are looking forward to this because this is probably one of the best books. I mean, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Let's put it that way. So, so let's get right off going, Samuel. So, how did this project come about? Where were you? What were you thinking? What were you doing with life? How did this come about?
All right, so this is actually something that started off just as a personal project of mine. I originally never intended for it to be a thing that became widely published. So when I used to be a diocesan seminarian for many years,
Really?
and during that time, I started discovering the divine office, the breviary, and I really took to reading the readings at matins every morning. Even if I didn't have time to pray the full divine office every day, I'd make time to read the matins readings because they nourished my spiritual life. But there was a problem when I got out of seminary is it's really hard to find the readings from this particular version of the breviary in a physical volume someplace. I'd have to find them online. And I
Oh,
still like to do it every morning, but I don't like using my phone when I pray.
sure.
So in
Right.
order to get away from using my phone to read these, I decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make my own document with all of them in one place and print this out for my own personal use. But as I was doing so, I saw that sometimes the translation you can find online, because there already are translations of this stuff online, but they're scattered to the winds and they're all very, very clunky. There's one by a Scotsman from about 100 years ago, and it's
Really?
difficult English, very difficult English. So I thought, you know what? I should just look at the Latin and see what I can do to touch this up, to fix it up a bit, make it more readable, accessible. And thus began a 2-year project of taking all these readings, arranging them, editing the translations, and putting it all in one document. And I told a friend about it most of the way in. He said, have you considered getting this published? So I reached out to TAN, and they're publishing it.
Wow. That's really a cool story for sure. So, because I read the Divine Office a lot, at least I started about a year ago, Samuel, and just really love it, and it's a good routine, and a lot of other laity have gotten kind of a grip on it as well. For those who are new to it, and I mean, and those who just maybe pick up the phone or read in the book, what are the matting readings? Can you explain on that a little bit?
Sure. So Matins is the name for the longest and the first hour of the day, the night hour. It's the thing that in the liturgy of the hours turns into the office of readings. It's the same sort of structure. Matins is just
Gotcha.
the pre-Vatican II name for it. But it's the same sort of structure where you prepare the Psalms, and then after the Psalms, you have a certain number of readings. And the readings, especially for the Matins lectionary here, from the older Matins, are going to be readings from the Holy Scriptures for almost every day of the year. Lent is an exception to that. Instead of scriptures and Lent every day, you get a reflection on the gospel of the day. If it's a saint's feast day, you're also going to get the life of that saint, which I think it was one of the most valuable things for me when I was reading through this. There's lots of good stuff in there that you don't get to hear much about. Some of these saints don't get much screen time anymore. So you
Right.
get lives of the saints every day if there's a saint. And plus, if there's a saint, it also means there's more readings by the church fathers talking about the gospel of the day, the gospel that would have been read at the mass of that saint of that day.
Gotcha. Very good. Well, thank you for that. Because I mean, I do agree. Like, you get a lot out of the office readings, and I usually have it on while I'm at work. Because I'm up usually pretty early with a job that I currently have, and it's kind of like, man, like this is a lot. This is long, but it's very, very good, and it's very kind of different of how the other divine office is structured as well, a little bit. So, Very good. So what was the process like for just compiling it? Because, again, we always say a process, which depends on how much you're into it and how much life happens and how much this and that. A process can be very, overwhelming at times.
It can be. So I think it depends on everyone's personality for a project. I'm the kind of guy where if I get something that I want to do and I'm really passionate about it, I go all in. I'm very
Okay,
intense, but it takes a lot to get moving. So when I got
sure.
into this project, it started off as a really casual thing, but it quickly became something that ate up a lot of my free time. So I'm a teacher by trade, and we don't have much
Okay.
free time as it is. But
No.
all the other free time I had, the little I had after teaching, I used up in working on this. So I'd spend hours at a time, and honestly, it's kind of stress relieving at times. Hours at a time, combing through on one half of the screen the Latin, on the right hand of the document with the really clunky English, and then touching it up based upon the Latin to make it much more readable, much more accurate to the original. And I'd spend hours formatting, editing, all that.
Wow. And is that so? Like you said, that's pretty much on your spare time then, because you're a teacher and all that.
hmm
Wow. For 2 years, that's dedication right there. That's a calling. So good for you.
That's
Because
when you love something, you're gonna go all in.
oh yeah, definitely, absolutely. I spent a lot of time on the podcast, but I don't know if I'm. I guess I spend a couple hours every so often, every night or so. So I can kind of see. Yeah, I can see that. Awesome. So how does this project relate to Matins?
So it's part of Matins. It's not the
Uh,
full office of Matins.
okay.
The full office of Matins, you've got the invitatory, you've got the Psalms and antiphons, you've got the readings, that's what these are, and then between the readings you have the responsories, and then you also have a prayer at the end, the Te Deum. So there's a whole bunch of other stuff other than the readings that are part of Matins. This is merely the readings, which, other than the Psalms, are the bulkiest part of the hour.
Sure. That is true. That is very true. Absolutely. So is it so it's not the full office thing, it's just some of it, correct?
No, it's
Okay.
not. So that's a common question I've been getting is this the full hour matins? No, it is not. It's just the readings. If you want to use it to pray matins in English according to the 1960 Roman office, it would be difficult, but this would be basically half of what you need.
Okay. So gotcha.
You
So
would need
how
some other sort of psalter or prayer book to supplement it.
okay. So you need a secondary book for that. Okay. Sounds good. So how does this how would you then I guess that kind of answers a little bit of the next question is like the navigating. So you have a second book, but how would you navigate reading the lectionary? Because
Mhm.
again, you go from Latin to English, and like I said, a lot of people are still kind of new to this as well.
Yes, and it's a bit of a difficult sort of thing to get used to at first if you're not used to the divine office already, or even a hand missal. It's a similar sort of structure. It's not a cover to cover book. You don't read it front to back.
No,
Um, a friend of mine, when I gave him a copy, joked that, "Oh, I loved it. Did you see how it ends?" And he's just talking about the stuff that happens towards the end of the liturgical year. He's joking around.
boy.
But it's not a book that you start at the beginning, you end at the end. It comes into three main sections. So, and these are organized according to the way you'd find it in a real breviary. So the first section is called the Proper of Time. So that's about the first half of the book or so. And it's only the stuff that you'd find as you progress through the liturgical year, starting with Advent and going all the way around through the time after Pentecost to next Advent. So it's arranged by seasons. Those are the sections there. And you would go through as you progress through the liturgical year. So that's the proper of time. But as Catholics, we're kind of funny. We have two calendars really within one. So we don't
Right.
just have the proper of time, we also have the proper of the saints. So we have the sanctoral cycle, and it's shifting and moving around based upon the proper of time. So it doesn't really line up one to one. That's why it can't be in the same section. So that's the back half of the book. The back half is the saints, the front half is time. So the back half, it's all the saints by calendar date. Much easier to follow with a normal secular calendar. Oh, today's March 18th. Well, it's Saint
Right.
Cyril of Jerusalem. And you turn to March 18th, and there is his stuff right there. So a typical way to navigate it, say on an ordinary day, or even today, for example, the day we're doing this podcast, you would start with looking to see if there's a saint, and there is a saint today. So we got Saint Cyril of Jerusalem, and it would say, okay, lessons 1 through 3, you're going to find here. So you'd go to that one spot. In this case, it's in one of the commons. It's the tiny middle section. Texts that are common to multiple kinds of saints. So Saint Cyril of Jerusalem, he is a bishop, confessor, and doctor of the church. So you'd find readings common to doctors of the church over there. And it would tell you, look at them there. After those readings, which are from the scriptures, you'd read the life of Saint Cyril. 3, somewhat lengthy sometimes, readings about the life of the saint. After that, it'll tell you lessons 7 through 9 maximum. You're going to find, in this case, on this date, it's a homily by St. Athanasius on the gospel of the day. If there is no saint's feast day, you just go straight to the proper time and say, oh, look at this. Today is the 4th Wednesday in Lent. And you'd read the 3 readings there for the day, or whatever day you happen to be on.
Sure. So, like, how much time could, like you said, it depends on the state, depends on the season, all that stuff. But how much time per day could a person expect to be reading the book?
On a typical day, so if there's a saint, you'd probably spend about 7 minutes reading it. If you're just reading it through. Obviously, it could take a whole lot longer if you like to read more of the readings than you technically have to by it. I like to do that. So, for instance, today's a Saint's Day, but it's also day in Lent. So I read the stuff for the Lenten day. I also read the stuff for the Saint's Day too, because I like the fuller reading. I like more meat for my prayer. So plus, 7 minutes of reading, but however long you want to pray on what you read.
Sure, I like that. I like that really much. I mean, 7 minutes. That's no time at all. I mean, that's well. Everyone talks
goes
about,
great with coffee.
There you go, new morning routine.
Mm-hmm.
So when you were talking about that, Sammy, I was thinking about the Roman Missal. It's almost kind of like I was thinking about that. Like you have the saints' feast days in the back of the Roman Missal, and you have the kind of the prayers and everything everywhere else. I guess for anyone who hasn't seen the book yet, how many pages is it? And I mean, it's pretty much, again, going off the Divine Office is pretty much like that. It's like easy to read and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So by raw page count, I have it in front of me here. It's 1,045 pages, which sounds like it's a tome, but it's actually quite slim.
Nice.
So this is how big it is compared to my head. It's not. I mean, I have a big head, but it's not that big a book.
You almost fit in your pocket, in your coat almost.
It could. So if you have a big coat, like I have a big trench coat, this would fit in my trench coat pocket. It's a slim little volume. It's hardcover, which is quite nice, but printed on Bible paper. So it's got 1,000 pages, but in a nice compact size.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, it's made to last. Then it's made to last for a while.
Yes, and TAN was kind enough to include a ribbon bookmark in it.
Oh man, that's so cool.
You got your ribbon bookmark, and if you're like me and you like tons of ribbons, I'm a big ribbons guy. So one's not going to cut it for me. So I have my own other bookmark in the back for the Saints. So I keep my Saints bookmark in the back, got the ribbon in the front for time, and I'm good to go.
Awesome. Yeah, you need more than one. I mean, it's like a Bible. It's like maybe you're maybe reading a book. If you want to go back to a certain page, you gotta have more than one bookmark. That's for sure.
Yes.
So, like, what feedback have you gotten about the book, Samuel? And because you released, so I guess first question is, when is this release? And then 2, what feedback have you gotten from people on the book?
Sure. So I'll answer the release date one first. So it actually has already come out. It was released on the 3rd of March this year, 2026. Really? So you can get it already on TANBOOKS.com. You can get it on Amazon too. I think other booksellers are carrying it as well. But it's already out and available. So that was that one. And the other question, I'm sorry. What was the other question?
What feedback have you gotten from
the feedback? So I've heard a lot of positive feedback about it. Some negative feedback too. People are saying, I wish I had more than one ribbon. Fair enough. That's kind of me as well. But the positive feedback I've been getting is voluminous. So the priests I've given it to, especially, so I go to the FSSP for Mass, Latin Mass. some of the priests they're using it to supplement the breviary they read every day. Because some of them say, well, my Latin is, it's not quite there. So having to read them in Latin every day, there's a lot that gets lost. And so this is a very helpful thing for someone whose Latin isn't quite there yet. And not just for priests, for lay folk too. Because this is something that until this book has come out, it's all stuff that's been available, but only really in Latin or in clunky English if you look really hard and work really hard to get to it.
Sure. That was actually my next question. Or a question I was going to ask was about what have priests said about it, and have you given it to priests and clergy? But
I have
Wow.
given it to some diocesan priest friends. I have to the priest at my FSSP parish. So I've got a lot of good feedback from them about this. Some of them are really appreciative of how full the readings are, because it's something that's not really common knowledge. But if you're more familiar with the divine office, in the office of readings, there's two big readings. In the 1962 breviary, the one most priests of the traditional Latin Mass use, there are generally 3 readings a day instead, but they're shorter.
Okay.
In this is the readings as they were before 1960. So this is 60% more readings. So there's a whole lot more fuller lives of the saints. You get the complete thought from the church father about the gospel instead of just partial thoughts, because it was trimmed down by John the 23rd for the sake of brevity. It's a lot to read for a priest every single day. Makes sense. Don't require them to read all that anymore, so they took all that out of the breviary. But he said in the same breath, but priests should still read this stuff anyway. They should read from the church fathers, the lives of the saints. It's good wisdom. They should take it in, and they should read it from a supplement that we put out forthcoming. That was never put out. So this is sort of my attempt to finish what he started, put it out.
Gotcha. I like that. Well, it's kind of like the traditional, Latin Mass or Latin in the Mass when they changed it to the Van Corico. Excuse me if I'm mispronouncing it incorrectly, but like switch it to English and different languages for each country. Was that is like, yeah, you can have your own country's language, but you should still keep the Latin. So like we were kind of like what you were saying is like, yeah, you don't have to read all this anymore, but you probably should still, right? You should. Which again, priests have very, very busy lives, especially this time of year. But I mean, I don't know. Let me ask you this. Take real quick for you, Samuel. Is in your perspective, since you attend the traditional Latin Mass, and I think I don't even know where the closest traditional Latin Mass is to me, here in Minnesota. If anyone knows, my family or friends, please comment down below. But what is the traditional Latin Mass making a stride back in popularity and kind of what people want?
So I think it certainly is. My own personal experience has been that a lot of folks are coming to at least the parish I go to, where the Latin Mass is, very frequently. Lots of newcomers. People are curious, and I think there's multiple reasons for it. Many reasons for it. People are searching for something mysterious. There's a lack of mystery in our world today, and I think people hunger for it. So they want to go where there's this attractive mysteriousness of the liturgy, and it draws them. I think is also the way of beauty too, that they see something that's strikingly beautiful, strikingly. It's not humdrum day to day. It's a language that we don't speak on the streets anymore. It's a kind of music that you won't hear on the radio. It's something that is going to lift us out of the everyday and bring us towards the eternal, towards the timeless. So I think there's that too. So there's the mystery, the way of beauty. I also honestly think it's something like the Streisand effect. You know what the Streisand effect is?
I do not. You got
So
me.
that's a internet thing from a couple of years ago. I forget exactly what it was. I think it was Barbara Streisand noticed that her house was published in some way, and she wanted it taken down because she didn't want people to see where her house was. Well, then, of course, because she complained about it, everybody knew about it and was noticing where her house was. So what she tried to do by saying, "Don't look at this thing," made everyone's eyes go to it. And so in recent years, there's been a whole lot of attacks on the Latin Mass from folks in Rome who don't really like it as much. And Pope Francis put out a Traditionis Custodes restricting the Latin Mass. That was probably the first thing a lot of people heard about the Latin Mass in their lives. And there are lots of folks who saw that and saw the publicity. People are going to Latin Mass. Ooh, what's that? And all eyes are on it.
Right.
So it's the Streisand effect too. But a whole bunch of things, I think.
Yeah, well, I just thought I might as well ask you because if you go to it, and I remember the Pope Francis thing. I mean, I think I think I heard of it before, but yeah, it was just kind of like, okay, what does that mean? Like, it's just kind of like it's almost like a foreign language, a foreign thing to me. It's kind of like, okay, whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely we have it. It hasn't been. It's still the. I want to pre-say just recently. It's still the true native language tongue of the church. So we should definitely do our best to defend it. And yeah. So
there was something you mentioned to your followers. If you don't know where your nearest Latin Mass is, there actually is a neat website where you can find one.
Okay.
Sort of like a Google Maps type of thing. It's have you heard of Mass of the Ages?
Massively. No, I have not.
So it was a documentary that came out, about 2021 or so, about the Latin Mass. It came out in 3 parts. It's sort of a way to educate folks about it.
Okay.
And they have a website, and I, for the life of me, can't remember what the website is. I think it's just latinmass.com.
Okay.
Latinmass.com. If you go there, and they have a find a mass tool, and it's got a Google Maps type interface where you could just zoom in and see, oh, there's one there and there and there.
Okay. I think I'm doing a Google search right now, and yes, you are right. Latinmass.com, Mass of Ages. So let me just put that up for the viewers here. Let's see.
So that's a tremendous resource, and I make use of that when traveling because I'm very attached spiritually to the Latin patrimony of our church, and so when I'm traveling, I like to find a Latin Mass. So it's a very useful resource. I'm not sponsored by them in any way.
Okay, no, it's thank you for that. I mean, it's like a lot of people don't know about that, so there we go.
And if someone's hearing about it for the first time, even through this, and curious, I recommend it. Give it a shot. There's a challenge out there. I think it was Taylor Marshall who started it, the Advent Challenge. It's 4 Sundays in Advent. If you're new to the Latin Mass, go for all 4 Sundays in Advent. See how it goes.
I like that. So for everyone who's watching, it's on the bottom of the screen. Scrolling latinmass.com. There's a link we'll have it down in the description down below as well. And so yeah, awesome. I was going to ask you something else, but now I forgot. So go ahead.
So as long as I'm on the topic of the Latin Mass, I just want to say that even though this book, it's based off the Latin Mass equivalent of the Divine Office, it's still something that you can benefit from if you are not a Latin Mass goer. Now, this does go hand in hand with the Latin Mass. The Divine Office and the Mass are 2 halves of the Church's liturgy, and this is tailor-made to fit with the Latin Mass. So if you go to the Latin Mass, this is a great preparation for Mass. It'll fit the gospel of the day is the exact same. Everything's perfect. Awesome. If you don't go to the Latin Mass, this is still a tremendous resource because it's all these wonderful reflections from the Church Fathers, the great saints of our past, on the same gospels that not maybe the ones you get on the same day in the Novus Ordo, but they're still the same gospels that come up during the course of the year. Same saints, more saints even. So I think it's a wonderful resource no matter which Mass you go to.
Awesome. Well, thanks for picking that out because that is so true. If people might have been like, "Well, okay, this book's not for me," if he's talking more about Latin and stuff, So, well, I mean, yeah, that's well said because it's for everyone and it's a good book to prepare for sure. So my question was, in the traditional Latin Mass, do they do the readings in Latin, or do they do it in English?
So that's a good question. In the Latin Mass, they do the readings in Latin. Everything except the sermon is in Latin. But in the common practice, at least in the United States, I've been to the one Latin Mass outside the U.S., but that was in Rome, so they did it in Italian there. But the common practice is after the readings are done in Latin, Father's going to leave the altar, he's going to go to the pulpit, and then he's going to, before the homily, he's going to read the readings again in English. Because the first time, he's reading them to God, like an offering of the Word of God back to God the Father. So the readings are in Latin toward God first, and then he reads them again for us here. So it's not like you're going to miss out on the readings if you go to Latin Mass. You don't speak Latin. Lots of folks don't speak Latin at the Latin Mass.
Right. It's it's definitely just you just feel like the reverence more, and it's something else that instead of going to your regular Novus Ordo, mass, it's just kind of it's something more. You have a more I feel like if you go, you would have a more appreciation for the mass. So getting back to
Mystery is attractive. Yeah. Sorry, what were we saying?
No, go. Yeah, totally fine. You interrupt me anytime, Samuel. That's fine. Like I said, the show is about you, so interrupt me anytime. So how would you, with all that being said, we have talked about all this so far. How would you kind of encourage people to use this book in their prayer routine? Just because, again, maybe we just getting close with the season of Latio, getting done, and just making a good prayer routine. And you send a cup of coffee in the mornings for about 7 minutes, more if you want. But if you're kind of stubborn like me, and it's just like I don't really want to have another book, or maybe it's hard to get another book into your prayer routine. How would you encourage someone to do that?
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess it would depend on what your prayer routine is every day. Everyone's got a different prayer routine, but
Sure.
the way I like to do it. So there are the prayers I do in the morning right upon getting up, like the morning offering, stuff like that. And I let that be what that is. But then a couple minutes later, after I've got a cup of coffee, because I think this goes great with coffee, and I'm a shameless
Sure.
coffee addict. I sit down with a cup of coffee and I crack open the Matins Lectionary. I read the readings for the day, and after that's done, most oftentimes something in there will catch me. It'll catch the eye of my soul, and I'll bring that to mental prayer right afterward. So I'm the kind of guy I like to prioritize prayer in the morning. If that's not your thing, you can read this any time of day, but this is just what I do. So bring something from here into prayer. If nothing catches me, if all else fails, oftentimes it's the gospel of the day, and it tells you what the actual gospel passage is. So I can look up in a Bible or a little New Testament that I've got that, oh, it's the Gospels from John 6, 1 through 32. Okay, let's go look at that and use that for prayer. And sometimes then in praying about the reading afterward, then the stuff that, say, one of the church fathers said about that gospel passage earlier is going to come back to me and help me out in the prayer. So it's sort of like a supplement or a way to spur on prayer.
Sure. Absolutely. I mean, I think that's a great hit and a great idea for sure. Now, what happens? I'm just gonna be a hard case here. I'm just gonna be like, well, I can't focus in the morning, Samuel. I can't. Then I come back at night and I can't. I'm too tired to focus on it, and it's only. I know I should probably read it and do it, and it helps. Again, it's a big factor into my prayer routine, my prayer life. I guess if you had someone like that, I mean, I guess you would encourage someone to probably do this on lunch break, right? I mean, 7 minutes. That's
Yeah, if you'd like to do it, I'd recommend finding time for it on your lunch break. It's short, you can.
right.
But honestly, I'm not a priest, so I can't give spiritual advice. But my own 2 cents is that if you're super pressed for time, trying to make time for prayer, if you have to choose between this and the Rosary, don't buy my book. Pray the Rosary. Um, or any other pious practice. So that they're the more important ones. But if you can make time for the Rosary, if you make time for mental prayer, then I highly encourage you to add this to your routine, especially for mental prayer. I think that's the most natural, fitting time for it.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So just to be clear, just to clarify this, Samuel, is that if people buy your book, because I know, like I said, the Divine Office is really kind of getting steam lately with just the Catholic laity in general, is if people buy your book, do you have to go and buy the other Divine Liturgy of the Office books?
Great question. So no, you don't.
Right.
This is a thing that you can get into all on its own, and you don't have to go any further into the world of divine office if you don't want to. Um, I find that this is something, because this is effectively the thing that got me deeper into the divine office anyway, reading these readings. So it might draw you in. Buyer beware. It might suck
Sure.
you into the world of the divine office. It doesn't have to if you don't want it to. But if it does spark your interest, I'd welcome that. Go ahead. You can get I think Clear Creek monks out in Oklahoma, they do publish standalone psalters for Matins, so you can actually pray the psalms that monks do beforehand and then read the readings afterward if you want to make much more of a liturgical prayer out of it. But that's entirely optional. You could also read this in addition to any other office that you already are praying. So some folks have asked me, can I pray the little office of the Blessed Virgin Mary with this? Absolutely. Go ahead. These are not the readings from there. These are from the Roman office, but you can pair it with whichever office you'd like, if you so desire. If it means no office, then that also works too.
Awesome. Yeah, I just thought I would ask because, I mean, I know the Divine Office books cost quite a bit of money. So, some people are very like, I can't afford them, or I want to, but maybe ask you for it from your family, a Christmas gift or something.
Hey, there
But
you go.
wait, and
Now,
go ahead.
if I'm sorry, if someone wants to get into the Divine Office and money's the obstacle, as long as you're not like me and you don't really hate using your phone, there are great resources through your phone or through the internet that you could use to pray the Divine Office.
Yeah, that's what I use. I use the official Divine Office app. That's what. But again, I'm working on it, so that's kind of when I make time for it. But I was just going to say on TANBOOKS.com, again, we'll have the link down below. It's $40. You can get the Matins Lectionary from the complete readings from the traditional woman bravery. Again, for $40, you can get it, and you don't have to get any more Divine Office. So you save a little bit of money that way. I was just going to make a pitch for your book that way.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I guess just a couple questions here left, Samuel, is that because I guess what age level would you consider having someone lead? If you are a godparent or something, you're like, I feel like a little Johnny would be, he likes to read and he's wanting to read more scripture and kind of getting more stuff into his prayer life, and how what age level would you consider getting the book for your significant other or your loved one?
It's a great question. So this is not something I'd recommend for really young children, only because the language is a little difficult in times. So the scriptural translation used, I did not touch the scriptural translations at all in here. This is the Douay Rheims. I'm not qualified to touch that. So it's the Douay Rheims Bible, which means it's going to have a whole lot of language that is no longer in use today. Much more opaque language, like the these and the thys and dost and
Sure.
hast. Which it makes sense if you know how English works in the older context, but if, for instance, for a child, it would be too difficult for most,
Yeah.
I think. I would recommend, honestly, with the readings from here, that it would be good for a high schooler and older. That a high schooler is perfectly capable of reading the Douay, if they apply themselves to it, and thus in reading the Church Fathers. Now, the Church Fathers are a bit harder than the Bible, so
Right.
with some difficulty, but the lives of the saints, I think, would make it worth it for a high schooler. So even if you don't think they're ready for all the readings, the lives of the saints would certainly be a compelling reason to use this to say like a confirmation gift, for instance. And then as they get older and more mature, then they'll grow to appreciate the rest. And that's the beauty of it too. It's a yearly cycle. It's the same thing every year. So if you have it from an earlier age, you keep doing it every year, you'll get more and more out of it as you go.
Right. Absolutely. Because people are like, well, I was kind of listening and reading the Bible at 12. It's like, okay, well, your brain's not fully adapted yet to where, if you're 16, 17, 18 and really grasping what it's saying, then I like what you said with a confirmation gift. Thinking more outside the box, because a lot of people you might get a crucifix or something for a first communion and that, but get him or her something that will benefit for the rest of their life. And like you said, it's a hardcover. It's made to last, and you pretty much put it in your coat pocket and take it with you on the go. Even if you're visiting family in different states, you can take it with you. So, Samuel, with all that being said, is there any last thing you want to talk about the book? Share with the arts about your book? Anything else?
I guess it's about the differences in calendar, because that's one thing that could really
Sure.
throw someone if they're getting into this, if they're not going to the Latin Mass regularly, they're not used to the older calendar way of looking at things. It could be a bit confusing. So
Okay.
Instead of ordinary time, it's going to be time after Epiphany, some stuff after Christmas, or time after Pentecost. and the way that's counted is it's a little bit differently. So it's going to be in some years it'll be the same number every week, and other years it'll be a different number every week between the new mass and the old mass. So one tip I'd recommend for someone getting into this for the first time, when do I start this if I get this? I would recommend starting at the beginning of a liturgical season. So pick a day that's the same in both forms of the mass, both rites, something that's sort of like a North Star. Pentecost, for instance, start on Pentecost or start on Easter or the start of Advent, start of Lent. So if you're feeling any sort of trepidation about starting this, pick a big feast day and start there, and then work your way forward. It'll make it much easier to navigate.
Sure. Well, that's a great idea because, if you get, during somewhere middle ordinary time, you just kind of, it might not be the best. So I like that because, big feast, the same, and go from there. I like that. So again, let's get on the screen for everyone to see it. The Matins Lectionary, the complete wings from the traditional Roman bravery. Again, from Latin to English. Give this man some credit. Get the book. If not for yourself, for someone that you love, and again, I'm sure you or they would. It's going to benefit them for the rest of their lives. So, Samuel Mclheran. Mclheran. Thank you. Just thank you again for your coming on, for your ministry, and we hope to have you on again sometime.
Thank you so much.
All right. We'll see you next time, everyone. Stay in the state of grace. Go to the sacraments.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Catholic Table Talk podcast, where everything Catholic is on the table. Don't forget to subscribe to Catholic Table Talk on your favorite podcast platform to get new episodes delivered directly to you every Thursday at 9 a.m. Eastern.